So today my talk is about a journey. It's about from spirit to matter. So we start with the journey from spirit to matter. My story begins with plan of Pondicherry. This was the French plan. This place is where also a famous person called Sri Aurobindo, at that time he was Aurobindo Ghosh. He landed here in Pondicherry in 1910. This is which he made his home for the next 40 years. He was living in Pondicherry. He was brought up in England, was a freedom fighter, and eventually developed something called the integral yoga. On his 125th commemoration, government took out a coin, and here the main thing is called all life is yoga. And this is what encapsulates in the simplest terms what Sri Aurobindo wanted to say, that everything is included in yoga. It is not about sitting in one place and meditating, but actually the whole of life should be consecrated and should be transformed, and there is a process of evolution that is happening in the human race. In by mother, whom we call from Paris. So again, another connection to the French Pondicherry. And she joined Sri Aurobindo in 1918, and together they collaborated. She was an artist, grew in her own right, and together they formed the Sri Aurobindo Ashram and had disciples, and it has become a big landmark in Pondicherry. It has given an identity to Pondicherry, which is international. And for me, these two buildings, one, the Samadhi, where Sri Aurobindo and Mother's remains are there, but also as an architectural point, because the columns that beams that is around the Samadhi has always been inspiring to me. And I used it as an inspiration in some of my buildings, notably the cottage restaurant in Pondicherry. And second project, this, I don't know how many of you know this building in Pondicherry. Can I see some hands, or has anybody seen this building? Because I know a lot of people who live in Pondicherry for years notice this building, but actually it is one of the modern buildings, the first modern buildings in India. And again, it was Mother who was commissioning an architect from Czechoslovakia who was living in Japan at that time in 1935, when it started in 1938. It is the first modern building of India. She was very radical in her thinking, and this was a building made for the ashram inmates, in particular the artists, because she wanted them to have a space which is surrounded by beauty and a new thought. So that was the idea that, and this building is still surviving very well. It's one of the best kept buildings in India, I would say. After 85 years, it is still in the pristine condition. So for me, these two buildings have been very inspirational for me in my practice. Now, this is a new city in the making. India has had a lot of new cities coming up after independence, but why would we do a new township? So the idea for Mother was this is a place where a collective evolution can happen. See, we all have a lot of possibilities, especially in India. We are known for having individual realizations. There have been lots of people before us who have come to some individual realization, and which is very well known in the world. But collective realization is something else, to transform humanity itself, to transform how we live together as a society. This can only be done when you have a larger amount of population. And Mother already had the ashram from 1926, the Sri Aurobindo ashram, but she felt it is important to have another city, and she was a very far-thinking person. So she started a city where she said new forms are needed for the manifestation of a new force. And the projected population of the city is 50,000. Right now we are 3,200 after 58 years. So the idea is that when there is a collective, we can have a sort of collective realization happen and a change happening within the people living there. I just want to show you quickly what kind of cities have happened before. So we have Jaipur, we have Chandigarh, these are planned cities, and we have Brasilia. All of them at the center of the city. There is other administrative building. There is a palace in the case of Jaipur. In the case of uh, it is in fact the transport center and the administrative buildings. But when she gave the brief to the architect, who was a French architect, she invited the French architect Roger Ager to come from Paris, and she gave him a brief which was a dream. Now you heard before, just a little while ago, your dean speaking about how dreams can be manifested, and it's very important to have dreams. So she gave a dream. This is only a part of it, but it's a very interesting brief. And to manifest this is not an easy task. But we are at it since 58 years, and we are growing, and we are hoping, we are always aspiring towards that dream. This dream it says it should be a place which belongs to no nation on the earth. This is a very unusual idea. This is 1968. She invited him in 1965, and 1968 Auroville was born. So it is a place where there is peace, concord, and harmony, and there is truth, which is the guiding principle. Now this is the Pondicherry. It's actually located in Tamil Nadu, and this new city was found on a barren plateau. And here you can see the plan of the city. It is like designed like a galaxy, a very unusual plan, and it has a spiritual center. At the center of Auroville is Matri Mandir. This is what makes it very unique. There are actually no modern cities in the world that I know of which has a spiritual center. Of course, all the old cities like Tanjavur and all the cities were built around churches and mosques and temples, but we don't have anything that is in the modern era that is designed around a spiritual center. This is an inauguration ceremony of Auroville, where 124 nations put their soil as a symbol of human unity, and today we have people from 70 nations living in Auroville. This is how Auroville looked in 1968. So we are known for our sustainable practices. I always say Auroville was sustainable by necessity, because we were and whatever was it, because we had very little means. Whereas now, of course, it is a well-known example of reforestation, and it's a green oasis. We have planted 6 million trees in the meantime, and it is now sustainable by choice. It is a way of life. Sustainability is not just about some add-ons, it's about going on and making the right some of the earth. It's a very experimental place. Now, the intersection of life and Auroville. So I come from a Jain family, born in Ahmedabad, Gujarat. And my grandfather were doctors. So I was born in a very, very open, broad-minded grandfather used to say. My maternal grandmother was also very doctor, and makes my parents new, but with Jainism somewhere forming the base of where I was born and brought up. Education was equal for girls and boys. I had a very, very strong sense of being, having my own voice, and I had no sense that I'm deprived. When I was about 8 years old, we traveled to Nairobi, Kenya, and we spent a formative time of my life. Of course, changed the way I looked at the world. It gave me a sense of belonging to the world, not to one small community. I was very fortunate to study in one of the best schools in India, which is SET. The person who founded that university, he's got the Nobel laureate in architecture, the Pritzker Prize. And he was a very inspiring figure. I was then coming to Auroville in 1987. And this is where actually my journey finding spirit in Auroville. This is where I did 6 months of training in Auroville in 1987. And it was a very hands-on experience under the German Pope Pingle. And I was doing for 2 years, I was working afterwards, after I finished, on the building site every day for 8 hours, doing the accounts, doing the purchases, doing structural design, doing landscaping. It was a all one in all experience, which actually which made the foundation of my practice. And this is our house, built in 1992, fully from lime and brick, and no use of, we were on solar electricity for 6 years. We had no machines because we wanted to absolutely use, handcrafted building, which has a whole different vibration to it. I went to Germany and did my master's there, and I met this person, another very inspiring figure, who taught me something called building biology, and he was one of the pioneers. And what he said is that building is a third skin. Like we have our own skin, our clothes, and then building is where we spend most of the time. And how do we find this balance between man, nature, and economy in architecture, in planning? This is what the challenge is all about. If you give more importance to any of these, one of these three, you will end up with a lopsided solution. So using all the five senses, using the five elements, responding to what is there in the context, in the culture, was part of my foundation, on the basis of which I started my practice. So now this year we are finishing 30 years, and I want to show you two examples from Pondicherry, which I have made on the Grand Canal Road. Since the topic is routes, streets and journeys. So this is what I'm going to talk about very quickly. I was very fortunate to do 3 buildings on the same street in Pondicherry. So one is in the Fish House, which is residential, cottage showroom, and cottage restaurant. I'll just go quickly through this. So here you see where the cottage showroom and cottage restaurant is. They're very close to each other, so I had possibility to also do some urban intervention and connection of the two buildings. And this is the showroom. Typically, our projects takes 2 to 3 years to manifest. It takes a long time to get all the building permissions, especially in a place like Pondicherry, because it's an urban setting. So the part is, there is an existing showroom there, but I proposed the corner site, when actually before there were just toilets. And I was wondering if it is possible to change it there. And the ashram, this belongs to the Sri Aurobindo ashram, so they agreed. Here I would like to show you a quick video of how our buildings look at night. This is what Pondicherry looks at night, all the shutters down. And I thought, what can I do that it doesn't have to look like this? Why do streets have to look like this after it is dark? When people are still moving about. So this is my intervention here, where I try to make a system that allows people to look in, and during the day it can go up and down. So the whole innovation is a dynamic facade, which allows people to look through in the night also. So here you see the transformation before and after. So before there were toilets of the cottage guest house, and now it is like this. So this is the plans. And this system is very interesting because it is just based on counterweights. The clients had told me all we need is that one person should be able to movement of these grills up and down. Because I know that after a few years, all of this stops working and it's very maintenance intensive. We also do landscaping and interiors at the same time for every building that we design. So it gives us more scope to do something realistic. And this is the grand inauguration with the ashram authorities. Small video which will show you how these grills move up and down. We planted also 2 trees here because this is east facing. This whole street is facing east. It's 200 meters from the sea in Pondicherry. So we needed to work also on the strategy how to take care of the morning sun. It can be quite disturbing. So you can see there's only one person, managing the weights, and it's very easy to move up and down, and it gives a lot of flexibility for them to showcase their products. Next building, the last building is a residence. I call it the Fish House because it's opposite the fish market on the Grand Canal. And here the idea was to, again, it was a corner building. I wanted to, mitigate the sun and still give them a lot of ventilation and light. So I studied the courtyard on the top. What you see is all the houses of Pondicherry, which are very small lanes, which have back to back. There is no bylaws which give you setbacks. So therefore, everybody has to have a courtyard for ventilation, and I use that to my advantage. As you can see, the blue and the green, that is the courtyard, and a little bit. And I made this green facade, which is just plants and creepers growing. And you can see how it transitions from 2019 to 20. In 1.5 years, the whole building changed. It allows birds to come, and it gives them a lot of privacy. It gives them a green facade, which stops the sun from coming in, and it still makes it beautiful. It's very low intense, low technology. Inside, this is the water body because they had a small meditation place. And on the top two floors, residences. Each floor is a residence in itself. So my journey has been about how to manifest integral yoga into my work on a daily basis. It is not something that we just sit and meditate upon. Of course, that we do as well, but it is also a matter of how do we bring the the everything, whether you're an IT professional or you're an MBA student or you are doing a business or you're an architect or an artist. Anything that you do is yoga. It's up to you how you develop it, how you work with it, and how you bring it together in your life. So it is very important that you can do this. This was my attempt at showing you how we try to do it in the buildings that we do manifest, and I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much.